Very important issue raised today, and a very sensitive issue of how we deal with people who are seriously ill, perhaps terminally ill, and how we treat them in intensive care. Intensive care specialists have raised the question of, first of all, the cost and the resources used in keeping people alive, and that sounds like a very, very tough approach to take, and they've put an amount of money on which suggests it costs 70% more to treat someone at the end of their life in intensive care than it does a newborn baby. And they also make the point that they're putting this up there simply as an informational thing, that they are not using money as the motivation for their argument, although inevitably in health these issues do come to the fore. But the argument being made is that if someone is seriously ill and they are dying and they are uncomfortable, decisions have to be made about the extent to which modern medicine keeps those people alive. There's no one-size-fits-all for all of this, but in discussing this on our program today, we heard from people who had felt that some of their loved ones had actually been kept alive longer than they should have been, and that they were uncomfortable, and that it would have been better if they'd simply been allowed to die earlier. Countering that, we had people who said that, and one particular person who said that her husband had been kept alive for 2 years in difficult circumstances, but that he wanted to stay alive. He was in hospital for that time. He wanted to stay alive, and he was keen to remain alive and be with his long-term partner, and that last couple of years was very precious for both of them. And that illustrates how difficult this issue is, because inevitably if you start to talk about this and you start to talk about whether modern medicine is keeping people alive for too long, you may then get situations where somebody who doesn't have an advocate for them and doesn't have someone there and someone to put the case for them may well be allowed to die when they do want to live and live longer. And so this is something we all have to confront. If somebody wants to live longer and is in a hospital and it's going to cost a lot of money, should they be given all the medical attention possible to extend their life by maybe a month, maybe 2 months, when that is all that is going to be possible? Or should we be in situations where we encourage people who may feel miserable and unhappy and uncomfortable to be able to say, look, I don't want you to aggressively treat my situation, I'd like to simply go on my own terms. And then what input should come from their relatives and the people around them, and then you feed in questions like dementia, which then raises questions about the person's capacity to know what they actually want. These are really, really big issues as baby boomers get older, and as very large amounts of money are spent keeping baby boomers alive for longer. We need to make sure the decisions we make in these areas are being made on the basis of what the people want, and if we get too concerned with how much it costs, and that is an issue, then we could have some very unfortunate circumstances down the track.